Hey, it's me, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new here. And today I want to say that, I've lived abroad for almost 3 years across two different countries, and I'm back in Hawaii now, and now I'm going to do it all over again, yeah, but this time to Vietnam. And you know what? Here's what nobody tells you about moving abroad like multiple times and why coming back doesn't, doesn't mean you failed. Okay. It does not. So a review of my, or I should say, to tell you about my expat journey thus far. I spent about a year and 10 months in Mexico in various cities, 7 months in Costa Rica, again in multiple cities, and I'm here in Honolulu, returned, and I'll be heading out to Vietnam, probably Da Nang, uh, but also when I'm in Vietnam, I'll be going to various cities. Uh, so we'll start with, Mexico, which was my foundation, and what made me want to take the leap and take the leap there. So backstory, growing up since like 15, my family had been going to Mexico for a vacation. And so just I feel just like growing up, going to Mexico just felt like second home, felt familiar, felt safe, um, felt safer than the US. And I love everything about Mexico. I love the people, like, which is the culture, the food, the music, just everything about it. Like, I know it's like every time I hear like mariachi or banda, like it made my soul so happy. And so Mexico was easy for me to decide to be. And even in 2020, um, I had visited Tulum because it was one of the only places open for people to travel to. So I was like, all right, Tulum it is. Um, and I have a bunch of notes here, like on my phone, and so I'm just looking periodically to make sure I cover a lot of things. And this might be a long one, but I wanted to cover a lot of things for you, so that in case you're feeling any kind of way, I hope that I touch on something that sparks your thinking differently, or about moving abroad or being an expat or even being an immigrant. And so my biggest lesson from nearly 2 years there was that, yeah, I was like, it does, Mexico does feel like home for me in that, yeah, I feel safe there. Uh, I feel happier there. I feel more relaxed there. And yes, and then it's like even, you know, from Hawaii. And it's interesting because, even with, the recent colonization of Hawaii, it's it's the US, but it's kind of not. But it really kind of is because it's such a military presence here. So, and I say that because Mexico is like free from that. Even though I know you might see pictures of, Mexican police and the federales. They have big guns and you see them on the street and they're constantly present, right? But since they're not checking for black folks, it's safe for me. And the cartel's not checking for me because I don't do business with the cartel. I haven't business with them. So it feels really safe for me in Mexico. So that was the biggest lesson was that how safe it felt. I was like, oh, I'll be good there, but no, I was like, no, I feel safe. The federales aren't checking for me, the city police aren't checking for me, the cartel's not checking for me. It's good, you know. And literally, I feel like because I kind of grew up in Michigan, and so just visiting cousins in Detroit, and like compared to like the east side of Detroit or places where I used to hang out in California and Compton and Inglewood and stuff like that, I'm like, there is. you know, and also just, and not just those places, but I can say like it just being like Huntington Beach or like skinheads or something like that. It just the amount of dangerous racism, deadly racism in just in any state that I've lived in. It's like, of course, I feel safer in Mexico. Basically, any place else in the world is going to be safer for me. Almost, almost any place in the world. So that's part of what decided my move. Um, was the safety factor, but also, like I said, it's the fact that I definitely just love Mexico. Like, and because I was in here in Honolulu, like I said, that there's not a lot of options for like Mexican food. I told you, like Mexican food is like Mexican soul food. It's I'm Black American, yes, and also it's like when you realize when you have a cuisine that you're like, well, this is my soul food. It's like you have your well, you've had your soul food growing up, whichever your ethnicity, right? But then you go to another, you go with another culture and you go to vacation, and then you have their local cuisine, and it's just like this is soul food. It's like another reason why I was like this. My my being speaks through cuisine, through food. And so when the first time I ever had Mexican food, I was like, this is my soul food. This is it for me. Again, just another reason why Mexico. I love Mexico. Why is my the first place? And also, though it wasn't is it literally the closest um, location wise, like geographically? Maybe not the closest, but closest to my heart. So another reason why I chose Mexico, and just so I the choice I made to move on from Mexico to go to Costa Rica. It's interesting because again, I'm gonna go back to 2020 though, because the original idea was, oh, it's like 2020. And I was in a group of ladies and we were all actually gonna go to Costa Rica first. And then Costa Rica closed the borders and was like, nope, we don't want, we can't have, we're not having foreigners visit. And so, yeah, that's why I was like, okay, I'm feeling good with Mexico. I know this is one of my safety places. I want to try out Costa Rica because I was supposed to go. And so I went. Um, and how that move felt different was that, like, it really just didn't, like, it didn't feel so different because I knew that, basically in Latin America, the people are generally really warm people. And I had heard, another ladies group that, oh, Ticos are amazing people. Oh, shout out Stephanie Perry. She's like, Ticos are the best people. And I'm like, "Hmm, let me go see." And so I did. And what surprised me, um, despite having my Mexico experience, was that, I mean, I thought Mexican people were warm. But I was like, I also felt like, wow, Stephanie Berry's kind of cool. Stephanie's right. Like these are the best people with their pura vida. I was super surprised by that. And I didn't think that there would be any people more warm and friendly and than Mexican people. But lo and behold, there you go. Another surprising thing was I went to Limon and and fell in love. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I was like, this looks like Hawaii by a lot. This looks like, I mean, they didn't have the North Shore waves of Oahu or anything, but just like the look of it, just like, if you go to like Key Beach or something like that, it kind of reminded me of that in palm trees and sand and things like that. And so I was like, oh wow, this place looks like Hawaii. And then it was then that I realized um the shift for me was it's like I really I love and miss Hawaii. Like yeah, Big Island is the place like one of the homes of my family, but it's the US. And I feel like, I wouldn't really want to live here long term unless it becomes the kingdom of Hawaii. And you gotta have a, a visa to come. And I was like, yeah, when it's a sovereign nation and I can get a visa to Big Island, I would love to live here. But until then, I need a place abroad that looks like Hawaii, is affordable, and the food is amazing. So yeah, and then I wound up back in Honolulu, and I know like why you came back. So the real reason I came back was that I was ready for a change from Latin America. Like the um one friend that I had been traveling around with, like she had to go back to the US. And for me, like I missed my friend that was in Iowa and he wound up coming back to Hawaii because I was like, he'd asked me, oh, are you gonna come visit me? And I'm like, not while you're in the continental United States. No way. And so we wound up going to Hawaii and I was like, okay, now I'll come visit and I'll make it a stop through. And get all my documents together that I'll need for staying the rest of my life abroad. Um, Hence the reason why I'm here. Documents, visit friend. And how it feels to, let's say it feels like a totally reverse course because geographically I'm like hopscotching, I kind of hopscotch my way to Southeast Asia. So I'm in the middle of the Pacific, right? So geographically, good. I'm almost there, almost there. So what made me realize that I needed to plan a move three? Like that was known um, when I was in Mexico. Yeah, I visited Costa Rica. I knew it's like Costa Rica is not going to be the place for me. Um, doesn't have my food. Doesn't have is the amount of food options that I like. In case you missed, I didn't say it, but I'm a foodie. I love food. I Food informs my soul, informs the depth of my desire to be involved in the culture along with the people because the food is the people and how the food becomes certain known foods is is tied to the culture um, in a historic way, right? So food history, and I love those aspects of things. And so what made me realize that, it's not that, and because I read the ladies, the Black ladies were loving Southeast Asia and talked about Thailand and Vietnam specifically. And so originally I was thinking, oh, I'm definitely the birds. I was originally going to go to Thailand. I was like, well, for it, Thailand is. And then, in having to do all this paperwork and having it be so delayed, I was like, okay, where can I go in the meantime that's close, where I can get an easier visa and just like mm, kind of explore that and then maybe go on to Thailand. And so, ta-da, Vietnam. Um, and definitely because affordability, I'm like, oh wow, affordability and the food is amazing. Like, listen, again, it's like I love these Vietnamese food, and I haven't even had proper Vietnamese food because I'd never been to the country, and that's why I'm going to the country to experience all the regional foods in Vietnam. This was super important to me because, like I said, I've got to get to go there and learn the food history, which is learning the culture. It's learning the culture, it's learning the people and all that. And so, what specifically, if anything, am I, nervous about? Um, Nervousness, excited, more excited. Okay, also nervous. So I start with nervous because Vietnamese is expert level hard language learning. I have only just begun. I maybe have five phrases in my pocket, like xin chào and come on, and I can say, uh, I was practicing it earlier. My is American, and I can say yes, which is and I don't even remember how to say no, but I did. I have a few more weeks to get my survival phrases like in there. My politeness phrases come first, and then survival phrases. So I was like, please, thank you. My name is. Um, can you help me? And it's like after survival comes food, food phrases. So I do that. And so that kind of goes into how I'm preparing differently. Um, this time with 2.5, well, almost 3 years of experience with, you know, being an expat under my belt. So I should say I started off with Spanish. I had Spanish before, like not fluent, but okay at Spanish. And but going to Southeast Asia, I now have to learn two very challenging languages. There's Vietnamese and Thai. Starting out with Vietnamese because I understand it's the harder of the two, and also it's where I'm going to be based first. I don't know whether I'm going to spend the whole year in Vietnam or whether it's going to be a couple of years in Vietnam, or I don't know how soon I'm going to be going over into Thailand. So it's going to be Vietnamese. Um, and so income strategy in terms of, if that's evolved over time, I think it has a bit because for this chunk of time, I'm actually going to be taking out of my retirement. And also, and I don't even know whether to call it a proper sabbatical, so I'm just calling it semi-retirement. And when I look at it, like I've actually always been like semi-retired since like I was 47, 47, 48. Um, but not knowing I was because I was like still kind of, looking for work and everything. Um, I should say looking for full-time employment. And that's a sidebar. But so how that strategy income is, that's what I'll be doing, pulling from my retirement and also launching digital product, which I feel like everybody has a digital product at this point. Or at least people on YouTube do that I've seen. They offer a digital product. So yes, in time off of one. I don't have one now. I really just hoping that this channel is to help people with, health and wellness, mobile strategies, um, living the best life you can as a neurodivergent person, whether you're autistic and neurodivergent, like, or ADHD like me, or just ADHD, or whatever your neurospicy is, and how do you live like that, and also how all of that moves into like how to exist and regulate with all the travel, right? Because it can be a challenging, which I'll talk about in subsequent videos. So one last wisdom that I have for y'all. All right. So I really wanted to say is I found that sometimes moving abroad isn't linear. Like boom, 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 just no, it can go in a circular fashion. And um and why I would say that, you know, really if you can, like honor the fact that when you're feeling like, okay, I'm good with this place for now, just let that be. It's like, okay, I'm feeling complete with this place and let me go explore something else. And that's okay. 100%. And like, do that. And let's see. And did I talk, oh, why Vietnam was a next step? I think it's just, yeah, I gotta go try it out. The, the culture is very, very interesting to me, as is, like I said, love the food. I had a good experience with the people, and the other Black ladies seemed to love it. And I just got to go see. Let's see it for myself. So the talk parts are the hardest part about returning to Honolulu and why Vietnam is like calling me now. So hardest part about moving to Honolulu would be like meeting my friend again, but it's like we'll video chat, we talk. Um, the vibe just overall in Hawaii is really chill. Like it's listen, for me it has been like I'm chill when I'm here, I'm respectful, just like every place I go. Um, and so that's why it feels chill to me. Like if you see my other video for New Year's Day, you'll see that, I was hanging out at the beach and I got offered a beer and a chat. And that was really great. And that really exemplifies the kind of experience that I've had um, in Hawaii for the most part. Um, yeah. And I'd say, yeah, after my first year of like living here, it was definitely something changed in me that got me more settled. The spirit of the island was just like calmed my nervous system down from like on 10 to like 6. So that was so wonderful. And so the hardest part will be, I guess, leaving the island because it's interesting is that when I'm gone, all the times that I was gone, whether even I was in any place in Mexico, whether I was in Costa Rica, and especially when I was in Costa Rica, and when I went to Milan, I would immediately miss Big Island so hard, so hard. Like I got misty over it. I saw, because I forget where it was in Limon. I think we were flying over in the plane, and I was just like, it's Big Island. Not, I felt like that. So that's gonna be hard coming away with like being away in that way. Um, and so the other reason why Vietnam, that's what it was. I found when I was on, yeah, again on YouTube, but looking at videos, it's like I was looking through pictures of Vietnam, and there are some beaches there that look just near to the same looks as like many of the beaches of Hawaii, at least are Oahu. I think the beaches in Big Island are just they might be singularly unique, but there are a couple of beaches in Vietnam that reminded me of Hawaii. So I'm hoping to being there, maybe I don't know if it'll feel like this whole like it will, like it does when I'm on Big Island. Um, but it's calling me to go find out. And I'm curious, like what's it gonna, be like? And also, yeah, I don't know. I know that it is, at least in Vietnam, there are other Black Americans. They have a group, and so I'll have community in that way. Um, and also, like, I'll very much have my community of language learning people, because I fully intend on going to Vietnamese school classes. Like, I know I won't need a foreign visa or anything, but just to be able to function deeper from a cultural perspective. Like I know I'll be in Vietnamese class for I don't know how many times, but a week. But that's gonna be a thing for me. And see, is there anything else you should know? Gosh, well, if I look back through my notes, And for like, well, if you have any questions, I would say that please let put the questions in the comments and I will get to them and answer your questions in that way. And yeah, and if you're considering Vietnam or you're already there, if you're already there and you happen upon this black lady in Vietnam, put in the comments how you're finding Vietnam right now. And that would be great. I would love to know. Who else? Yeah. If you're thinking about Vietnam, definitely. Oh my gosh, get in the comments. We could like have a coffee when we get to our respective places because I'll be traveling around Vietnam, even though I'll be posted up in Da Nang for at least a few weeks. So yeah, I'm excited to hear from other Black folks that have a Vietnam experience, and I'm glad to share with you my journey, getting started on getting back abroad. And if you're in the little space, hey, welcome. All righty. I hope you have an amazing day. Aloha.